This is the Sleeper Hold Podcast.
Welcome to the Sleeper Hole Podcast, where there is no disqualifications on the topics and falls count anywhere. I am your host, Priest, and we're going to be continuing on with the Women in Wrestling series. But first off, I do want to apologize for this episode being later than it normally is with our routine. See, there's a lot of contributing factors, and I definitely want to reach my heart out and explain them because you guys, as my fans and listeners, deserve to know what's going on. First off, around this time of the year, I always get strep. And I do believe I feel it coming on, so if I do seem to lose my voice or get a little cracky in the tone, you know why. Also, the original plan was to still make sure that this thing gets launched yesterday on Wednesday. Unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to one of our pets. Our cat Apollo passed away, and we had to give him a proper farewell. So yesterday kind of got a curveball, and that was more of a top priority. I had to make sure we took care of him and said our farewells. It's been kind of rough for my wife and myself, but not trying to make this all gloom and doom about personal matters. We got much more to talk about. I also do want to say a few things real quick in all seriousness. Wrestling did lose a great legendary wrestler in Nick Brockwinkle this past weekend, and I do hope that he does rest in peace. I didn't really see him while growing up, but I have gotten to see some footage as an adult and looking back, and very great wrestler. Also, our hearts at Sleeper Hold are out there reaching out to those suffering overseas from the Paris attacks and those who are genuinely seeking refuge and sanctuary during this time of darkness. Alrighty, let's get enough of this gloomy stuff and let's talk about some of the women who have been in the squared circle. Today we will talk about two women who are of this current generation and are amazing wrestlers. You know, there are many more to discuss as well, but I think these two are a good start for our current divas. These are two of my favorite in today's generation. And we're going to be starting off with the NXT Women's Champion, Bayley. I love Bayley. She is like the sweetheart girl next door and has one of the most adorable entrances I have seen in a long time. Right away from the first time I saw it with the inflatable arm tube guys and her giving the high fives out and saying she's a hugger with the little streamer things on her arms, it won me over. I was a fan right away. But you know, like all other wrestlers, it took a bit of hard work, determination, and heart to get to where she is now. And I'm not just talking about the NXT Women's Championship. Bayley had been watching wrestling shows since she was 11 years old with a promotion in Northern California. At the age of 18, Bayley started training with the promotion under the head trainer Jason Styles. Name sound familiar? Probably because he was with the WWE during 2007 and 2008. While working with a promotion in Northern California called Big Time Wrestling, her first match was in September of 2008 under the name of Davina Rose. She wrestled there up until about 2012, while also branching out to other promotions during 2011 and 2012. Now, during December of 2012, Bayley did move to the WWE and became part of the NXT roster. She started out donning a mask while adopting her name Bayley. She debuted in a match against Paige on March 20th of 2013 and lost the match. Bayley then participated in the inaugural Women's Championship tournament, where she did lose to Alicia Fox. Down the road, Bayley even bravely challenged and lost a match against the then champion AJ Lee for the WWE Divas Championship. Talk about some courage. Bayley's first win was on September 4th in a tag team match with Charlotte against Alicia Fox and Oksana. Summer Rae and Sasha Banks turned around and tried to offer a slot to Bayley into joining their ranks of a little team called Beautiful Fierce Females, or BFFs for short. On November 13th, Charlotte attacked Bayley and cost them their match so she could join the BFFs instead. After this, Bayley had a short alliance with Natalya to defeat Sasha Banks in both singles and team competitions. On May 1st, 2014, the Women's Championship was up for grabs once more, and Bayley went for it. She did lose in the first round against Sasha Banks, unfortunately. After the tournament, though, Bayley did earn a victory against Charlotte in a 6-diva tag team match following a triumph over Sasha Banks, making her the number one contender for the title. At the NXT TakeOver Fatal 4 match, she had a following rematch after that as well, and she kind of fell short on both, but she gave a heck of a performance. I really did like watching those matches. Shortly after, though, Bayley ended up being attacked by her former friend Becky Lynch, who had allied herself with Sasha Banks. Bayley, in turn, allied with her former rival, Charlotte, to feud with Banks and Lynch for several weeks. On November 27th, Bayley was attacked and suffered a knee injury from the hands of Banks and Lynch. On January 21st, 2015, Bayley returned to save Charlotte from Sasha and Becky before turning on Charlotte herself. This led to a Fatal 4 match at NXT TakeOver Rival, where once more Bayley just barely fell short of getting the title in her hands. On March of 2015, Bayley began a rivalry with Emma. This feud carried with Emma saying that Bayley was too nice, and that's what caused her to never win the title. Now, to an extent, I could see where people were trying to go with that and what Emma was saying, because, like I said, Bayley is the sweetheart. She is very nice, she's very trusting, she gives the benefit of the doubt, and maybe it did cost her a few times, but I don't think you can really contribute to that. Just, my whole thing right there. On April 29th, though, Bayley did lose a match against Dana Brooke after Emma caused a distraction. And Bayley got revenge on Emma by attacking her after Emma lost a match against Charlotte. At NXT TakeOver Unstoppable, Charlotte teamed with Bayley to defeat Emma and Dana Brooke. Shortly after this, Bayley ended up benched due to a broken hand. On July 22nd, Bayley returned to defeat Emma and declare her mission to be the next NXT Women's Champion. Bayley challenged Charlotte to a match, and won. Followed that with a match against Becky Lynch. This caused her to have a shot against Sasha Banks at the NXT TakeOver, which will be actually in Brooklyn. This was awesome. Banks taunted Bayley about being too sweet, and at the contract signing, Banks stamped her name on the paper, literally used the stamp, and started to walk away while Bayley was ready for the classic throwdown in the ring after the signing. We all know what that is. We've all seen it plenty of times. Sign the contract, huge brawl. Yeah, that's what you see with wrestling. See, she was ready to do that, and Banks pretty much told her, though, that she wasn't worth her time and that it can wait till Brooklyn. Bayley would have none of it. Charging Sasha while Sasha was going up the ramp to leave, Bayley made her statement made that Sasha better be ready at that match. This was an incredible match, by the way. I absolutely loved it. They finally got to show us a side of Bayley that you don't usually get to see. You get to see more of the aggressive side. I don't want to say mean side, but you could almost compare it to that. But you get to see her show more aggressive side, a more serious tone, a Bayley who was determined to actually get what she deserved. She ended up not really holding back one bit, and Bayley actually became the NXT Women's Champion. Right on. After the match, Bayley celebrated with Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte, who have once been referred to as the Four Horsewomen. This wasn't the last of these two women fighting, especially for the title. See, General Manager William Regal, you got to give the man credit. He's been in the ring plenty of times, and he's got the good mind for wrestling. He put Sasha Banks and Bayley into a 30-minute Iron Man match at NXT TakeOver Respect, where Bayley, she won with 3 falls to 2, getting the final fall at the last few seconds against Sasha Banks, and remaining as the NXT Women's Champion. Bayley has proven herself time and time again, guys, and I wouldn't be surprised if sometime soon we get to see her on the WWE main roster, preferably with my girl, and who we're going to be talking about next, Natalya Neidhart.
Here at the Sleeper Hold Podcast, we strongly believe in helping others. This quarter, the Sleeper Hold Podcast is Going Pink with Susan G. Komen as we join the Rise Above Cancer campaign. Susan G. Komen is the world's largest nonprofit funder of breast cancer research. Breast cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer in the world and the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths among women in the United States. There are already more than 3.1 million breast cancer survivors now in the United States, and your contributions will help with the research and work to increase the number of survivors of breast cancer. For more information or to make your donation, visit thesleeperhold.com and click on the Susan G. Komen link.
Alright, we talked about the adorable girl next door. Now we're going to move on to talk about the first third-generation female wrestler in the world, the Queen of Hearts. She is beautiful, powerful, and the ideal diva wrestler if you were to ask me. We are talking about Natalya Neidhart. Daughter of Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Ellie Hart, Natalya has wrestling in her blood. Inspired by her uncle Brett and grandfather Stu, it didn't take much to get Nattie into the ring and carry on the Hart wrestling legacy. Training in the Hart family dungeon by her Uncle Ross and Bruce Hart, Nattie is the first and currently only woman to graduate from the dungeon. She also is trained with mixed martial arts and amateur wrestling. In late 2000 and 2001, she started as a host and ring announcer for Eric Bischoff's youth promotion, Mat Rats. In 2003, she started to work for the Hart family's promotion, Stampede Wrestling. She started a feud with Belle Levitz. There was even a match where Nattie teamed with her father against Levitz and Apocalypse. In 2004, Natalya and Levitz teamed up and wrestled in several intergender matches that went up against the Myers brothers, as well as Anna and Ma Myers. By 2004, Natalya began to be booked for tours in England. In 2005, she participated on a 2-month tour in Japan under the name Nadia Hart. By the time she returned to Canada, she became a heel under the name Nasty Natty. On June 17, 2005, she became the first Stampede Women's Pacific Champion. Later on, she vacated the title. On November 2005, she injured her cruciate ligament while wrestling in Japan. In early 2006, she underwent surgery and was out of commission for 6 months. On October 8, 2006, Natalya won the Supergirls Championship from Lisa Moretti in NWA Extreme Canadian Championship Wrestling. She held the championship for 19 days before losing it to Nikki Matthews. On October 2006, she debuted in the all-female promotion Shimmer Women Athletes. She had her final match with Stampede Wrestling on January 26, 2007, before signing on to join the WWE. Nattie started out, like many wrestlers, on the lower division of the WWE and worked her way up. She then debuted as a member of the Next Generation Hart Foundation, accompanying Teddy Hart and Harry Smith. They did move back to Florida Championship Wrestling, where she faced against the Bella Twins at many occasions. In late 2008, she debuted on SmackDown with T.J. Wilson, now known as Tyson Kidd, and Harry, or David Hart, Smith, son of the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith. Natalya started out as a heel on the WWE roster. When Vicky Guerrero, SmackDown general manager at the time, announced the creation of the WWE Divas Championship, Natalya was the first to qualify for the championship match. At the Great American Bash in 2008, Natalya lost the match against Michelle McCool. While still a part of the SmackDown brand, Natalya debuted for the ECW brand via the Talent Exchange Agreement on February 10, 2009. At this time, she was managing her boyfriend, Tyson Kidd. During her ECW in-ring debut on March 3rd, she defeated Alicia Fox. On April 5th, Natalya was made part of the Divas Battle Royal at WrestleMania 25, which Santina Marella won. On April 15th, Nattie was made an official member of the ECW brand when she was drafted as part of the 2009 supplemental draft. On May 13th, Nattie and Tyson Kidd had David Hart Smith join with them, and they were initially labeled as the Hart Trilogy, which this name did soon change to what we all know as the Hart Dynasty. On June 29, 2009, Natalya and the Hart Dynasty were traded back to SmackDown. Nattie's first match was in a 6-person mixed tag team match against Crime Time and Eve Torres. At the Bragging Rights pay-per-view, Nattie was on the winning team as the SmackDown Divas defeated the Raw Divas. Although Natalya lost her chance to be the number one contender during a match on December 4th, she wasn't down and out for future opportunities. During WrestleMania 26, the Hart Dynasty helped out when Uncle Bret was in a match against Vince McMahon. This helped to Bret Hart instantly turned the Hart Dynasty into faces. On April 26, the Hart Dynasty won the Unified Tag Team Championship against Miz and Big Show following a 2010 WWE draft where the team was moved over to Raw. On May 24th, the Hart Dynasty was jumped by the Usos and Tamina, who were making their debuts. The feud between the six carried on to the Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view, where the Hart Dynasty defeated the Usos and Tamina after Natalya delivered a discus clothesline to Tamina. The following pay-per-view, Money in the Bank, Natalya helped keep Tamina from interfering and costing the Hart Dynasty their tag team titles. At Night of Champions, the Hart Dynasty did finally lose the belts in a tag team turmoil match. On September 27th, Natalya won a Battle Royal on Raw to become the number one contender for the Unified Divas Championship. This started her feud with the co-Divas champions Michelle McCool and Layla, otherwise called Le Cool. At the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, Natalya won the match, but it was by disqualification, meaning that McCool retained the title. 3 weeks later at Bragging Rights, Natalya had another chance but lost to Layla after McCool interfered. Noticing a trend here? By November 1st, she was once more the number one contender after defeating Michelle McCool in a non-title match. After weeks of tension, though, the Hart Dynasty also ended up splitting after Tyson Kidd turned around and attacked Smith. At the Survivor Series pay-per-view, Natalya faced Michelle McCool and Layla in a 2-on-1 handicap match to win the title for the first time. After the match, she was attacked by Lay Cool until Beth Phoenix came to her aid. The two formed an alliance at TLC. Natalya and Phoenix defeated Lay Cool in the first Divas Tag Team Tables match. At the Royal Rumble, what was meant to be a handicap match between Nattie and Lay Cool became a fatal four as Eve joined in and pinned Layla for the title. Natalya moved to SmackDown and started to be a mentor for AJ and Caitlyn, who were calling themselves the Chick Busters. A feud between Natalya, AJ, Caitlyn against Alicia Fox, Tamina, and Rosa Mendez. It lasted around and throughout 2011. It was a pretty good feud. On August 5th, Natalya defeated AJ before turning around and declaring war on the perky little princesses that filled the rest of the Divas division. Following this, she teamed up with Beth Phoenix and called themselves the Divas of Doom. The following week, Nattie and Phoenix defeated the Chick Busters and continued the feud with them all throughout SmackDown, while also carrying a feud with Kelly and Eve Torres on Raw. Accompanying Beth Phoenix to the ring at Hell in a Cell, Nattie watched as her partner won the Divas Championship. At the Royal Rumble, there was an 8-diva tag team match that had the Divas of Doom quietly disbanded shortly after. On April 2012, Natalya became allied once more with Tyson Kidd at the NXT Redemption. Natalya did begin a feud with former protege Caitlyn when Nattie felt Caitlyn was giving Kidd a bit too much attention. The two faced off in singles matches and even tag team matches throughout 2012, including a 6-diva tag team match at Money in the Bank, where Nattie's team unfortunately did lose. Their feud ended on August 31st, where Nattie did lose to Caitlyn in a singles match on SmackDown. Natalya carried a relationship for a short time with the Great Khali, where she also helped save Hornswoggle from Rosa Mendez. The unlikely team of Khali, Hornswoggle, and Natalya teamed up in a feud against Primo, Epico, and Rosa Mendez. Also on March 27th, during an episode of NXT, Nattie went against Caitlyn for the Divas Championship, but unfortunately she did lose. With the launch of Total Divas, Natalya began her feud with the Bella Twins. Nattie and Brie went on to trade back and forth victories in singles matches during Raw and at SummerSlam. The cast of Total Divas redirected their attention on Divas champion AJ Lee after she ridiculed and insulted the show. This ended up with a Fatal 4 match at Night of Champions, where AJ was able to retain her title against Brie Bella, Naomi, and Natalya. Nattie assisted with the Great Khali during a feud against Fandango and Summer Rae. This gradually led to a mixed tag match at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, where Nattie and Khali lost. On the November 1st episode of SmackDown, Nattie forced AJ to submit during a tag team match and follow along with a challenge to AJ for the championship during WWE main event. At Survivor Series, the Team Total Divas faced off against AJ's team True Divas, and honestly, Nattie and AJ were the sole survivors. Natalya turned her attention to challenge Paige for the NXT Women's Championship in what was an incredible and close match. Back on Raw, Nattie pinned AJ once more to become the #1 contender for the WWE Divas Championship, but fell short at TLC. I also want to point out that during Total Divas going through their first and second season, Natalya and her childhood friend in romance that we all know as Tyson Kidd tied the knot in a beautiful wedding. Well, maybe I can still one day get a kiss on the cheek at least, or be put in a sharpshooter by her or her Uncle Brett? One can only dream. At WrestleMania 30, Natalya participated in the Divas Championship Invitational match where AJ retained the title. On May of 2014, Nattie entered into a tournament to determine the new NXT Women's Champion, where she defeated Layla and Sasha Banks, but ended up losing at the final round against another woman who was born with wrestling in her blood, Charlotte. In mid-2014, Nattie entered a storyline with her husband Tyson Kidd, where she often helped distract the opponent. During the Survivor Series in 2014, Nattie joined Alicia Fox's team and they won with a clean sweep. On January 5th, 2015, Natalya defeated Nikki Bella in a non-title match during Raw. Brie and Nikki would attack Natalya and then Paige came to the rescue. This caused that at the Royal Rumble, the Bella Twins would go against Nattie and Paige, and unfortunately the Bella Twins did win. Tyson Kidd allied himself with Cesaro, and Nattie managed the two of them while they moved on to become the WWE Tag Team Champions during Fastlane. On March 28, 2015, Natalya inducted Alundra Blaze into the WWE Hall of Fame. Tyson suffered a serious spinal injury, and Nattie took 3 months off to help her husband. Returning to the ring on September 21st, 2015, an episode of Raw, Natalya focused on confronting Paige as she turned from being the adored anti-diva to a bit of a heel and a diva herself. See, Paige was at Charlotte's Divas Championship celebration, and they're trying to, cheer on that the team of PCB now had the belt, and Paige really kind of became quite a diva herself and said a lot of mean things and pretty much just threw a temper tantrum. So after that happened, in all its lovely glory, and Paige even calling Nattie out during this whole little spiel, Nattie confronted her in the back and basically just told her that her actions and words during the celebration was really uncalled for. This also happens to be what many people agree is what caused the fracture to end Team PCB. Nattie and Paige would continue confrontations and matches back and forth, and on October 5th, Natalya defeated Paige. On October 8th, Natalya teamed with Charlotte and Becky to defeat Team Bella. It was pretty awesome. October 15th episode of SmackDown, Nattie had another altercation with Paige before mysteriously being jumped in her dressing room, and many people believed it was Paige doing this to get back at her because, Paige was acting quite nutty. While everyone did believe it was Paige, we did later find out that it was Nattie who was jumped by Team Bad, and Nattie didn't even realize it on her return. She still thought it was Paige at first. But Team Bad came out to lay claim to the attack. Since then, Natalya's focus has been fully on Team Bad and on how to take them apart one by one, starting with a declaration to take out the leader of Team Bad, which led to some real confusion between Sasha and Naomi on who the leader really is. So, with the two of them bickering, Tamina decided to step up and just say, "Hey, I'll handle this, guys. Just chill." Well, Natalya beat Tamina, and after that, she had challenged Naomi. She beat Naomi. So Natalya really only has Sasha Banks left to defeat before she really destroys Team Bad. And if you ask me, it's only a matter of time before she has that match and shows why she is the Queen of Hearts and the only woman to be able to endure the Heart Dungeon. Sleeper Hole Podcast is proud to be partnered up and broadcasting with 217 Radio, an internet radio station in the central Illinois area. To keep up with our new weekly schedule, our show is aired every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and yours truly also has another show at that same time every Wednesday where I freely speak my mind on some of the news locally and nationally. But you don't only get to listen to me. There's great music and incredible shows from other hosts as well. Soon, I will be super looking forward to the show that talks about the paranormal and does the little investigations. I'm a big paranormal junkie, so that one's going to be awesome once it gets up and going. Wednesdays also has 217 Problems, which is from the same great creator of 217 Problems, which is named and shown on Facebook. Now, Pickett, he's one of the producers of 217 Radio, and he has the Pickett's Movie Show on Saturdays, which is great for those who want a review on what movies to check out. And I'm looking forward to seeing my buddy Jeremy Bayley launch Lincoln's Legends on the Thursday night slot. Now, this is a big-time growing show, so let me tell you, many shows are being added as days roll by, and there's many things going on. So I am very, very sure there's going to be so many great things to check out as new shows are added, and there's something for everybody. So what are you waiting for? Just go to 217radio.com. Sit back, relax, and enjoy some great shows and a great variety of music. Alright, boys and girls, you have the two women out of all the divas that I absolutely love to watch and cheer for. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of other great ones out there, but these are my top two. But stay around as we continue this series onward. We have 6 more episodes before this year is up, and I am certain they will be just as awesome. See y'all next week, and take care of yourselves.
Thank you for listening to the Sleeper Hold podcast. Don't forget to visit our website at thesleeperhold.com, comment on episodes, read our blog, find information about our quarterly charity, and more. See you next week.